I was reading the comments this morning on yesterday's video, and a lovely lady called Kath Davis asked, would I still be doing a monthly podcast with Joe? And I'll be perfectly frank, I hadn't really thought about it. But here we are, it's the last day of the month, so we've crept in under the tape. We're just back from walking and then having a coffee, and we're just sitting down together to have a chat, yeah, Joe?
Yep, squeeze it in.
So, yeah, this is not really pre-thought out or anything like that. It's just our attempt at sharing something we're interested in. So I just want to ask Joe, a while ago, Joe, you read a brilliant book, didn't we? We both read a brilliant book. Or we both read a book that we thought was brilliant. And when you think there's like 38 years in between us, it's unusual for us to enjoy the same sort of books. So I'm going to ask Joe to tell you, how did you find this book, Joe? And why did you recommend it to me?
Well, I want to stress that I'm not a great reader. I've read a few books in my life, mainly Harry Potter. And even then I listened to them. Yeah, I'm not the biggest book worm. But we got on a bit of a string of listening to audiobooks, didn't we, together?
Yeah.
And we started off with a book called...
Well, this was when you were ill. Do you remember? You were ill.
No. The Devil in the Dark Water was a book of the day.
Was it?
A daily deal on Audible one day that we picked up. And I think we just started listening to that together. You'd listen to it in the evening in here, and I'd go listen to it in my room.
Yeah.
And then we'd talk about it on the walk the next day, wouldn't we?
Oh, you're right, yeah.
Yeah, and then we finished that, and that was good. I thought it's a bit of like a murder mystery on a boat, isn't it? And
it was strange, but it was creepy, but it was good.
But I thought it was good. And
who was that by?
Stuart Turton.
Yeah, Stuart Turton.
And then when we had the COVID vaccine, the first one, I got really bad reactions to it, didn't I? I got I was sore all over the back of my arms and
all your muscles locked up, didn't they?
Yeah, it all started cramping up, and I was just stuck in bed for a day. So during that time I had a search on Audible again on if you've bought this audio book, people have bought like, you know what I mean, like the recommendations of
similar
other people
books
that have listened to this audio book also bought X, Y and Z.
Yeah.
And on that there was a book called Piranesi, and I gave that a go, and I finished it, but it wasn't very good. It was quite a short book, really, and I didn't enjoy it that much. But then again, from the recommendations from people who read this, we came across a book called The Terror.
Which was strange, because the title, my immediate reaction was, sounds like a Stephen King book. And you're not a fan of Stephen King, are you?
No, I've read The Institute, which is, I think, one of his more recent ones, and I thought it was terrible.
Yeah.
I could... Yeah,
you read it, finished it,
yeah,
but you absolutely couldn't stand it.
I didn't listen to it, I actually read that one, and it wasn't worth the read, if I'm honest. It wasn't worth the time.
Well, no, because people were raving. Stephen King hadn't written anything for a while. The Institute was out. It was incredible. It was unbelievable. So I ordered you a copy on Amazon, and you were like, this is the biggest load of tripe, and it's so slow.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
The beginning was okay, and the idea behind it was okay, but the middle bit just dragged on forever. And
was that where the lad was stuck on the train?
He was on a train, yeah. And that just... Yeah, way too drawn out. And then I don't want to ruin it for anyone who...
But it had a very fast ending, didn't it?
But, I didn't want to... I didn't want to say, but...
I'm not saying what it was.
Yeah, so anyway...
No spoilers.
Where were we?
Well, they said people who read this...
Yeah, Piranesi. Also read The Terror, and you thought it sounded like a Stephen King book, and I thought it sounded a bit childish, like The Terror, like, the monster, the...
Scary.
Yeah, the scary thing. Like, I just thought it wasn't, like, the best title ever, but... We looked at the description and we thought, actually, that sounds pretty good. And so it was another one about boats, wasn't it? But this time it's about Arctic expeditions, or was it Arctic or Antarctic?
I think it was Arctic,
yeah.
Isn't it? But what struck us most about it was the fact that it was based on a true story, that you could historically look up the characters.
Yeah, real people.
That everybody in it really existed. and that it was such a tragic story, but the author has woven into it a myth, a sort of Eskimo myth. And the actual description of the book made it sound like that could be interesting, but we got much more than we bargained for, didn't we?
Yeah, so much more. I've been a massive fan of Harry Potter for like all my life, and I thought that was the pinnacle of books because
well, the Harry Potter books, you read every one in turn as they were released, because I remember every time one was released at midnight, Dad would go and queue to get it for you.
Yeah. And
because you were the right age for Harry Potter.
Yeah.
So you've read and reread and book form and audio, and the Stephen Fry versions of the audio are incredible, aren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, we just recommended it to a friend who's 88, and she is reading the Stephen Fry versions on Audible of Harry Potter, and she is absolutely loving it.
But I'd even hold this book over them.
Yeah.
And I've only read this book once, and I'm not sure I'd need to read it again anytime soon, like I do with the Harry Potter ones, because they've just become a thing that I kind of fall asleep to sometimes. But
this
book like opened my eyes to what a book could be. Yeah, it was really, really something, wasn't it?
I think when we bought it, wasn't it like 20 odd hours? Like
it
more
was
than,
a long book.
It was
like
much more than,
hours,
I think it was a bit more than 24 hours, because at first it would say you have 1 day, 2 hours or whatever left of this book. And the only other long books I've read and really enjoyed were the Outlander series by Diana Gabaldon. And those books are like, well, a couple of them in the middle I found a bit stretched out, but the most of them, I think I've read 7 or 8, most of them I have loved. Now, I tried the Outlander thing on TV or whatever it was on the computer. No, not for me. But the books blew my mind. And I've been waiting the best part of 2 years for the final book, which is called Go Tell the Bees That I Am Gone. And I've now heard a rumour that it's coming out in November, and I'm wishing my life away to get there, because I want to know what happens to Jamie and what happens to her and Claire. I mean, the books are brilliant. If you like an ongoing series of books, I would recommend the Outlander series. Even if you didn't like the TV version, try the books, because they are so different. We'd say the same about Terror, wouldn't we? Because you found
I ended up watching
a TV version of Terror.
TV program after the book, and reading the book, it's so you can make it so much more vivid. You can, if you've got a bit of an imagination, you can really make the characters
come alive
and give them a face and a personality of their own, and you know what I mean. And then seeing someone else's rendition of it, where they've got things aren't exactly how you imagined it, or
that's what I find frustrating
faces
often.
Aren't like you expected.
When they move something from a book to TV, and you've read the book, and in the book it says this guy is 6'6" and whatever.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, Jack Reacher, case in point, I love the Jack Reacher books, but I think in the film versions he's played by Tom Cruise, who was about 3 inches taller than me. And Jack Reacher in all the Reacher books is about 6'5".
Yeah.
And I think you would have to sort of film Tom Cruise from a very strange angle to make him look 6'5". He is nothing like Jack Reacher. Now, whether it comes across well in the films, I don't know, because I've never watched any. But when you've read a book like Terror, and you get so many descriptions of what these people look like and everything, and then you go and watch it on television, on a screen, and they don't look anything like that.
Well, sometimes
it's
they don't
disappointing.
even act the same. Sometimes they're not even like the same character.
Hickey.
Yeah, Hickey was a lot like darker and more menacing in the book. I felt it was a really like nasty piece of work from the very start.
But in the book he was menacing. He was a nasty piece of work, but he was very obviously gay before you knew it, because he was very camp.
Yeah.
In a way, wasn't he? Even though he was dark and menacing, and he had that like really evil streak.
Like nasty streak.
He was quite camp, wasn't he? With it. And you said in the TV series he wasn't at all like that.
No, and with the Eskimo, I'm trying not to
No spoilers.
Yeah, no spoilers, but with silence and how she behaved. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
In the book
yeah.
and the TV series, it was totally different. And then the terror.
The terror
The
itself.
terror was totally different in the TV series and stuff. So if anyone's seen the TV series
and you've not been
and
overly
you've not
impressed,
read the book, I'd really recommend the book over the TV series.
Oh God, yeah.
Because I think it was on the BBC, wasn't it? I think it was on like proper television.
I'm not sure. Not sure.
Because
don't have a telly. I'm not
Chelsea
sure. Yeah, no, but Shell might have watched it on the
Shell
computer.
might watch it on the internet. All right,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah. But with these things, you know, when you come across something as powerful as this book is, you want to recommend it to your friends. And we discovered that our 88-year-old friend had a written copy of it on her shelf.
When we were reading it, we went round to Judy's house, didn't we?
And it was on the shelf, wasn't it? It was on the bookshelf.
It was on the bookshelf, and I was like, hang on, what's that? It just caught my eye as I had to go in her office for some reason, didn't I? And I saw it.
But it was funny because she said she'd been given the book as a gift in 2007 when it was written.
It was huge.
And it was a massive book. It looks like the Bible, it's that big. And she's like, I just never fancied it. And then when we'd had it on Audible, we then recommended it to her and she got it on Audible and she could not switch it off. She was sitting up till gone midnight at night listening to it. So I said to her, can I borrow your written copy for a friend who is an avid reader? And she said, take it. I don't want it back. I'm not going to read the written copy. Take it and give it to her. So I gave the written copy to my friend Liz. And Liz, the journalist who interviewed me once on my channel, and she read it and she flew through it and absolutely loved it. And I don't think it was the kind of book she generally chooses. But she absolutely flew through it, didn't she, Jo?
Yeah,
I mean,
she was so floored by it, she gave it to her mum.
Yeah, she said, can I pass this book on to my mum? And her mum's a similar age to me. And I'm not sure whether Barbara's enjoyed it or not. But it's funny that out of one book and the different people that have read it, who usually read different styles, have all come back and said, wow, that was brilliant. So, in essence, we're recommending it. If you're looking for a big book to get your teeth into...
Yeah.
Look at Terror by Dan Simmons. I haven't found anything else he's written that appeals to me, but by gum, I really enjoyed that book.
Yeah, you read a couple of his other books, didn't you?
And
they missed the mark a bit.
Didn't do it for me at all. I read 2 more after Terror, but that is a book, and it's in my Audible library of like 500 and odd books that I will go back and probably read it again in a couple of years. Not soon. But I will go back and read it again in a couple of years.
And it spurred you on to be kind of interested in that kind of explorer...
expeditions. I've been reading about Shaftesbury and... Is it Shaftesbury? No, Shackleton.
Shackleton.
Yeah. And different expeditions. And actually got so into the Terror book that I wanted to know the truth about the John Franklin, who led the expedition. I wanted to know the truth about Francis Crozier, who captained one of the ships, and the ships themselves, the Erebus and the Terror. I wanted to know what really happened and how much it lined up with what was in the book. And it lines up pretty well, as far as they can prove. And then you can go on and you can watch like documentaries on YouTube about the actual expedition. And I'm not sure if one of them was done by, I can't think of his name. It'll come to me. Somebody who used to do stuff with the guy from Fawlty Towers. Who were we talking about yesterday? Who was in Fawlty? John Cleese. No, it's completely escaping me. But a really well-known guy who's into history, who's done stuff on the telly with John Cleese and people like that. You're probably screaming it at me, but... He's done documentaries about Terror and the Erebus and the expedition and what happened to all these people. And they've gone on to prove, what did happen to some of the people. And the rest of them, it always will be a mystery. But it's an incredible story. And was it around 1858, something like that? So it was a long time ago. But, yeah. That's enough said about that book. But if you're interested in a good book, you want to get your teeth into something, give it a read or get it on Audible. It's worth it. It's really worth it, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the other thing we've just been talking about when we were actually on our walk today, we walked up to the big cemetery at the top of our town where we see woodpeckers every day, and there were no sign of them today. I think it was probably a bit too windy.
Yeah, not
But-
today.
Not today, but during the week we've seen 4 nearly every day, haven't we?
4 in about 30 seconds the other day.
Oh, they were just flying around the place like mad on Wednesday, weren't they?
Nice yellow feathers, and it's got a little red hat.
They're so cute because they have these little red hats. But we could hear them like all around us on Wednesday, and they were flying backwards and forwards, weren't they?
Yeah. I think it
And
might
we
be a bit
saw
dark for
4
today.
for sure. And I don't think woodpeckers are really that common, but there is woodland up there, isn't there?
Yeah. And we saw jays the other day, didn't we?
Oh yeah, blue. I think they're called. Is it European jays? The ones with
I
the
don't know
blue.
the blue on there.
Yeah,
That was nice.
yeah. And a missel thrush,
Yeah.
which you've never seen before. Because when you live in a city or on the edge of a city, you know, I mean, the birds we see the most of are magpies, really, aren't they? And pigeons. But, so while we were walking up there and looking for our woodpeckers and everything, we were talking about what we like to watch on YouTube. And I said to Joe, I can very easily name my 4 favourite YouTube channels. And I was asking Joe, you know, like, what do you watch on YouTube?
Recently, I've been watching a French guy who he's a cook, but he's also an engineer, and he makes these YouTube series about how to. He tries to make restaurant quality dishes, but in his own kind of way. So he'll go through the research of them. He'll go through like taste testing the best. He'll go to like a high priced like Michelin style restaurant, and he'll try. Say for example, he did a fried rice series. He was trying to make like restaurant quality fried rice. So he went to one of the palaces in France and had like a Michelin star meal, to see what it should taste like, to see what he should be aiming for, you know what I mean? And then he'll take back his research and everything, and he'll kind of follow it through by making
He makes the equipment to make the dish, doesn't
he? He made like a setup. He did all this research on different woks and how the technique of how to like flip the rice and cook it evenly and all this stuff. And he makes all the props and everything himself. And I don't know, it's just really nice and really good. I like his accent, and I think he's quite funny.
Oh, he's the one who goes, ooh la la.
Oh la la.
Oh la la. Didn't he do croissants one day?
Yeah, croissant.
Croissant.
Yeah, croissant.
And what else? A couple of other
Croissant,
things.
there was sourdough.
Sourdough.
bread.
That was fascinating because
Yeah.
that's quite a process.
Yeah, it's
isn't
very
it?
scientific. Yeah, having to feed the culture and stuff.
Can you remember what his channel's called?
Just called Alex.
Alex.
Yeah. There was an interesting one on mozzarella, Neapolitan pizzas. There was.
But it's more than just a cook and a recipe.
Yeah.
It's everything that goes with it, and him inventing different ways of making different things using his
Yeah.
engineering skills.
So for the croissant one, he went to like a patisserie and did like some work experience at a patisserie like early in the morning, and then he came back and he like using his engineering skills, he like 3D printed himself a pastry roller to get the dough for the croissants like nice and even and stuff, and he had all these different prototypes of it, and then he made it better. And he did, I don't know, he turns something into like a whole series, and it's whole like a start to finish process of how he got from he'll make it at the start and you'll think it's good, like he makes these croissants and you think they look nice, they look great and everything, but by the end he understands the art of it so much more, and you have so much more respect for the people that do that kind of stuff. Like the one where they did meatballs.
Oh
And
yeah.
he ended up he went to, so he lives in Paris, but he did an episode where he flew over to New York to sample Italian, like
We did Italian meatballs, Swedish meatballs.
Italian meatballs. Then he went to Sweden, and then he went to, was it Turkey?
I think he did, yeah.
Somewhere
You
like
told me
that.
about that, yeah.
Yeah, where he researched koftas
That was it.
and
yeah.
stuff like that, and then he tries to, he asked himself like, if I was going to make a meatball, now that I know all that I know, what would I do to it? So he ended up making all these like crazy gadgets to like make it perfectly round, and how to like keep it perfectly round once it was formed.
Oh, because you didn't want a flat bottom on it.
Yeah, you didn't want a flat bottom on it when it cooks or anything. Whereas I learned that in Sweden they quite like a flat side to their meatballs, and in Turkey, or I think that's where it was.
Koftas are flatter.
Koftas are flatter, or they can be flat. They can be all sorts of funny shapes. So I don't know. It's just interesting.
Yeah.
I think.
Now tell us about Mr. Morrow, because you introduced me to Mr. Morrow, and I love
Mr. Morrow. I don't know why I enjoy watching these videos, because I've no interest in Disney or anything like that, going to theme parks or anything. But he's just a really nice guy who.
I think
really
he makes
his
it.
food.
But I'm like you. I have no interest in Disney. I wouldn't go to Disney if somebody gave me a free ticket. But
I don't think I've ever seen a Disney movie.
It's his enthusiasm. Because
Yeah.
you introduced me to him. You said, watch one of his videos, see what you make of him. He is so enthusiastic about the place and the food. Mostly the food. He likes his food.
He's a big boy and he likes his food.
But it's just his joy.
Yeah.
And it's the simplicity of the fact that he is so grateful.
Yeah, he is.
And so appreciative of everything, and he's polite, isn't he? He gets his opportunities to go around Disney and sample all this incredible food and go and do all these amazing experiences, and I think the fact that he's a professional vlogger, he makes his living doing this, but he doesn't just take it for granted. He is so humble about it that you can't help but like him.
I think the first one that I showed you was where he was gifted.
It was during COVID.
Disney points system or something like that, and people's travel was restricted. So
because of COVID, they couldn't. So they gave them to him, and he got this like first class stay in this incredible place at Christmas, didn't he?
Yeah, like a night. It was on like a lake, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And he took his own Christmas tree and his Christmas cards and his Christmas lights.
But it was his gratitude that everything, even when he's being served the food and everything, he's just got a humility about him that makes him like, he's not a big fat greedy guts or anything like that, and he's not taking anything for granted. He appreciates what people do for him. And I think in life we've lost some of that. Yeah. We just take it for granted. And he's lovely.
He's got such a nice personality.
I don't even know what his first name is.
It begins with N.
Is it Nathan?
Nate. Yeah,
Nate.
Nathan.
I know you called him Mr. Morrow.
Yeah, that's the name of his channel. Paging Mr. Morrow. I think it's a reference to something from Disneyland or something. I'm not sure, but they're the kind of places he goes to. But he'll do It's not just the parks that he'll go to. He'll go to the different hotels, because I know that there's a lot of attractions at the hotels and like a lot of.
And did he show you in his videos how much of Disney is like underground, so you don't see the basic workings of it?
I think there's all information on that. Like the service tunnels. Or
the service. So what you see is like the glamour of Disney. You don't actually see the bins being emptied and the stuff being delivered, and it's all fantasy.
You don't see the wrong characters in the wrong places. You don't see whoever, Jasmine in France or whatever.
Yeah, they all pop up in the right settings.
In the right places, yeah.
Yeah, and how they actually do that is interesting.
Yeah, like there's one where he goes to, don't quote me on this because I'm not sure, but is it the Wilderness Lodge?
I don't know.
And it's like all Wild Western, Native American themed. It's all built out of like log cabin kind of with big totem poles and all sorts. It's crazy. Like
very impressive.
Yeah, very impressive. But it's just nice to see someone enjoying themselves and being so grateful for it. You know what I mean? So yeah, he's someone I enjoy on YouTube.
And the other one that you were raving about quite recently was the Japanese musician guy.
Oh yeah, I'm not entirely sure how to spell it off the top of my head, but it's called Ishkanito.
Ishkanito.
I know his surname's Nito.
But his music is beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, he plays electric guitar, but he also plays the harp, and you can tell, can't you? Because his guitar playing does
beautiful.
Resemble harp music.
I mean, what he can't do on an electric guitar isn't worth doing. It's just, and I'm not the biggest lover of guitars, but you know, when you play his music over your big Yamaha speakers, and it's just beautiful,
And
relaxing and beautiful. And Yvette,
another
the other
musician
one.
that I like called Yvette Young,
Yeah.
and she's. I
Electric
like her
guitar.
music, but I also like her guitar.
She the one with the green guitar.
Yeah, the sparkly green guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah. But apart from that, I just kind of like.
Dong Dong.
Yeah, I like Dong Dong Wu.
She's
Nice.
Chinese girl, or from Hong Kong or something.
Yeah, something like that.
She's sweet.
Nice, yeah.
She's got an American boyfriend called Joe, and they're just about to move to the States, aren't they?
Yeah.
Because I was watching her this morning, actually, before I got up. I thought, well, I'll see what this Dong Dong is like. And
we
she
got
is
recommended
really...
her channel the other day, didn't we, for that, like, block of flats that's in Hong Kong that's famous for some film it's in, isn't it?
Yeah.
But then her channel is actually really nice.
She's nice.
Yeah, she's nice.
A very
she's
sweet
got
girl.
A nice attitude.
Yeah, she has. She's sort of one of these people who sees the joy in life and sees the positives. Because some of the situations were a bit dire, weren't they, where they were living and that.
Yeah, some of
but she
the
just
flats
sees,
were like
she sees the
square foot.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
She's another one of these people who knows how to be grateful, and I like that. Then we were talking about my favourite YouTube channels at the moment, and I've been struggling with YouTube for a while because a lot of it, I think it's my age and everything and my state of mind, but I think a lot of it is pointless. And the channels that I like to watch, well, I'll tell you something funny first. I've very much lately been into watching things about frugality, and I don't know, it came up on a recommended and then you get hooked, and then more and more channels get recommended, and I'm watching channels about frugality. Some of them really, really interesting, and some of them, well, I think quite pathetic personally, but that's my opinion. And then I got into this, there were these recommended videos coming up about stuffing envelopes, which is, I think Dave Ramsey, who's a Christian teacher, teaches people how to budget and get out of debt. And part of what he teaches is to keep envelopes. So you would have a weekly envelope for your groceries and a weekly envelope for your petrol or gasoline or whatever they call it in America. It's a very American thing. And then you get into stuffing envelopes and you have sinking funds, which is something that I know quite a lot about, but that's pretty irrelevant. But their version of a sinking fund is to stuff the money into envelopes and save it. Now, I found this a bit strange because they've got all these envelopes and some of them have got thousands or hundreds of dollars in. And I'm thinking, somebody's bound to know who you are, and you're showing off about, you're getting out of debt and you've got all these hundreds of pounds for this purpose and that purpose. And my attitude at 64 is, for God's sake, put it in the bank, But then I said to Joe one day when I was watching one of these young women, mostly young women, stuffing envelopes with $5, $10, $20, $50, $100 notes. And when I went to America, I didn't like the cash over there because all their notes are the same size. And if you're blind, it's a nightmare. You don't know if you're pulling out a $5 bill or a $100 bill or a $50 bill. Whereas in this country, at least our £5, £10, £20, £50 are different sizes. And they've got markers on them for people who can't see. But in America, it was just a nightmare. But there they are, they're stuffing these handfuls of notes into these envelopes, and all you can see literally is their hands and the money. And I said to Joe, this feels like a fetish. It's weird. They're like, I don't know, it just did not feel like a healthy thing to watch. To be actually just physically watching the screen with people stuffing all this money into all these envelopes, I don't know, I found it quite disturbing. I thought if that's a way of teaching people to budget and handle money and get out of debt, I could think of better ways. So I got into watching that, and then I was talking to Joe about the weird and the oddity type stuff that's on YouTube. And what was the thing you said to listen to?
ASMR.
I don't know what ASMR stands for, do you?
I don't know, probably something like audio,
sensory something or other. Well, anyway, I put one of these, well, you put one on my iPad, didn't you?
Yeah, I just brought it up on YouTube to show you what it is.
Within like 30 seconds, I'm like, turn that off, I don't like it. That's another fetish thing. That is well weird. Why would anybody want to watch I don't know what the picture is on the screen.
No, the picture on the screen will just be like the camera sat on a tripod on a desk in front of the person that's doing it. Generally, the microphone's in the shot as well, and they're just kind of like
whispering.
For people who don't know what it is, it's kind of like scratching microphones and whispering and
it honestly
talking in your ear and
it's
stuff. You meant to
horrible.
wear headphones. It's not nice.
It's horrible. And again, if that's not some sort of sexual fetish, I don't know what is. Or either that or I'm weird. Because I just found it revolting. Absolutely revolting. That's strange.
It's awful, isn't it? Because you can hear their like mouth clacking.
You hear their mouth clacking and then they're like...
Yeah, very
creepy. Horrible.
They're very sensitive microphones.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, and they get like whispering.
It's just horrible. And then what was that other thing you were telling me about, which I didn't even watch? I couldn't bring myself to watch, where people will actually video themselves just eating, like pigging out on food.
You told me that Jane Gammons was thinking about doing a while ago.
Oh, I think she was joking. That's a 3 years ago. I think she was joking.
Oh, it's called mukbang. Mukbang.
And where they literally just like...
Yeah, they'll just sit there and eat like a ginormous amount of food.
But I thought, Joe, is like when my mum used to say,
fill up an envelope.
Like when somebody's eating like that, stop smacking your chops, and it's just like that. There's part of the thing about it, isn't it? Where you're literally just stuffing food into your mouth. And
I don't know. People just like the noise of those things, don't they? Like I guess with the money thing, it's like like when you do that with like notes. Yeah, when you like slide them against
it's all part of it.
Yeah, it's like an audio sensory thing. Yeah.
But I guess because all I get is the audio, because I've got no picture to relate it to, I'm even more sensitive to the audio.
Yeah,
as a totally blind person. And I just find some of these things like, no, switch it off. Can't be doing with that. No, I don't like that.
That cash one was really weird though, because they weren't even using real money, were they?
Some of them use like Monopoly money, and then do put the money in the bank. A lot of them do have a lot of it. American money doesn't look like ours, Joe. It does look like toy money. You were saying
it was toy money.
No, some of them were doing it because they'd got thousands of dollars. So they had actually replaced it with like pretend money rather than keeping thousands of dollars in their house. But a lot of them it's real money, and it's got that, that feel that our money has, the new like £10 and £20 notes, where you can kind of flick it together. It's not a papery sound anymore.
Yeah.
Wow, weird. Anyway, so yeah, that got me into Frugality, which led me to one of the channels that I absolutely love now, which is a couple called Hope and Larry. I think their surname is Ware. And they have a channel which is called Under the Median. And they are teaching people through their experience, they're like 30 odd years of experience, to be better stewards of their money and how to live debt free and how to save up and pay cash for a house. And I found that absolutely fascinating because I am very wasteful when it comes to money. And it's made me stop and realise that, I don't have debts, I don't have credit cards and things like that. I'm at a stage in my life where I don't have those things. But it's made me realise that when I was younger, if I'd been a far better steward of my money, I could have paid my mortgage off 20 years early rather than 8 years early. Because when you see somebody else's experience and realise, gosh, they're my age group, if they'd have been 20 years ahead of me, I could have learnt an awful lot from them. And I do find some of their stuff on their channel, like they buy in bulk, they're vegan for health reasons, and they do buy a lot of their food in bulk, which we don't find works for us, do we? We like fresh food.
Yeah.
But they are a fascinating couple. So their channel is called Under the Median, and I would recommend to watch it. And if you go and watch them, tell them I sent you. My other favourite channels, my second favourite, well, they're not really in any kind of favourite order, but number 2 would be a channel called The Veggie Boys, which is a family in northeast Pennsylvania. And can I say hi to Barbara, who is a lovely lady who watches my channel, who lives in Pennsylvania. Except I used to mix it up for Philadelphia, but I've got my map sorted out a bit now, Barbara. So this family who live in northeast Pennsylvania, who are farmers, they have cows and they have chickens and they have a stable. It's a big family, 14 members, brothers, sisters, nieces, nephews, whatever. But the main part of the family is a mum and dad and 3 sons, who are Matt, Andrew and Daniel. And they're 26, 25, 21. I showed Joe Andrew, didn't I? And I said, how old do you think he is? And you said about 40. He's 25. But he's lovely. He's really, they're all nice, but he is particularly lovely. And his wife was due to have a baby this week. I don't know if it's arrived yet. Lauren, her name is. But they're predominantly vegetable farmers. And it's fabulous to see them picking all these massive peppers and pickling cucumbers and broccoli and cauliflowers and cabbages and making sauerkraut and making horseradish sauce. And then they have a farm market, which is where they sell all their produce. And I absolutely love that channel. So it's clean, there's no bad language in it, which you sometimes find in my channel, but it's just clean, it's wholesome, it's educational, it's family life, it's all about eating together as a family. There's a grandma there. It's just lovely. So that's the Veggie Boys. Then my other two channels that I really enjoy, one is called A Country Life, and it's a family vlog. A lady called Jennifer, husband Warren, kids, 3 of whom have left home, but she has 4 still at home. And she has a boy called Joe who's coming up 13 very shortly, and he has Down syndrome, but he's lovely. He just tickles me. I love the video that went up today where he's in the background and he keeps joining in. He's so charming. And she's got 2 other small kids. I think they're now about 8 and 9, something like that. And then Sam just turned 17, and Jennifer cooks. She just produced very recently a cookery book which is on sale on her channel. But she's always in the kitchen, she's always cooking. They are cranberry farmers, so you see a lot of the cranberry marshes and how they make their living. They live in... What state do they live in, Joe?
Pennsylvania.
No. Begins with W. Wisconsin. They live in Wisconsin. And I would say Jennifer and Warren are probably in their late 40s. And their kids range from about 25 to, I think the youngest one's 7 or 8. But lovely. She's not posh. She's not grand. She lives a very normal life. She's not like setting a house up like Instagram fashion to impress anybody. You know, she lives a very normal life, but she can cook. And she cooks the food I'd love to eat but can't, because I would be 3 times the size I am if I did. They're lovely. They're just a lovely family. And I'm enjoying some of these sort of family vlogs. And then what was the other one I said I was going to share? Gosh, I'd be dangerous if I had a memory.
Veggie Boys, and then Art and Brie.
Art and Brie. I used to watch a channel called Justin Rhodes, and then I got a bit bored with it. But in the course of watching Justin, I came across some friends of theirs who are called Art and Brie, Arthur and Brianna. I don't know what Art looks like, but oh gosh, he's lovely. If I was young, I could throw my hat at him. He is lovely. He's a nurse by training, but they are actually now building their own like homestead. And again, it's a family vlog. They've got 5 children, and 3 days ago, Brie gave birth at 27 weeks gestation to twins, and oh my God, I cried buckets. It's harrowing. The video that went up yesterday about the birth of the twins and what actually happens and why they had to be born at 28 weeks, and you can feel for this couple. You can really feel for them, and they are so trusting and they are so lovely. And their faith is keeping them strong, and their kids are just lovely. And they've got a little boy called Wilder who's just turned 3, and he's gorgeous. All their children are nice. And it's another one of those family vlogs that you just want to watch and support, because it's how he's given up nursing now to build this homestead, and it's how they earn their living. So again, if you're looking for a vlog to watch that is clean and positive and fun sometimes and harrowing at other times, support them, because Art and Brie, or Arthur and Brianna, but their channel is called Art and Brie, ART and BRI. They're just lovely, aren't they, Joe? They're really nice people.
Yeah.
So basically, yeah, that's us, and that's what we've been watching and reading and listening to. And we have got one dog story following on from last month's vlog where we had 3 little dog stories, didn't we?
Yeah, just one this time.
Go on then, share our dog story.
The one on Eton Road.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a dog that kind of, there's a garden in the tree. A tree in the garden. And
in the front garden
in
of the
front
house.
Garden, yeah, not a garden in the tree. What am I talking about? And it's got a dirt track that the dogs run around this tree, and it runs one way around the tree, round and round.
It's a collie dog, like a sheepdog
type.
And it runs and it loves it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it just loves the exercise, but God knows why it's chosen this one tree.
And it's worn a path in the ground, so much so that they've put down like a carpet track for it to run on.
Carpet tracks that they keep clean. They'll take them in and wash them and stuff and stop them getting grubby.
And this dog it's absolutely full of joy, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's happy.
And it races and it just runs and runs. And it's obviously like, I mean, those dogs need a lot of exercise. If you had a dog like that and you didn't give it a lot of exercise, it would be cruel. But this dog it's almost like it's got a big smile on its face because it just runs on this track round and round. And it goes clockwise, doesn't it?
Yeah, clockwise.
Always runs the same way.
It's not on a lead or anything.
No, I'm just saying it could wear its inside legs out and it could end up lopsided.
Yeah, end up wonky.
But yeah, that's our dog story for this month. But it's just beautiful to see, isn't it?
Yeah.
This dog just so loving being able to run and run and run. So that's been our month. Nothing too traumatic has happened in our lives this month. We're ticking over okay, aren't we?
Yeah.
The washing machine died. We had to have a new one, but that's real life.
That was quite traumatic.
Yeah. Only because we weren't expecting it, were we?
No, and then when the new one blew a fuse the first time, we thought it had
blown the washing machine.
Yeah.
And it blew a fuse in an isolation switch that's been in for 36 years since the bungalow was built.
And what voltage?
Yeah, my friend who's an electrician came back, checked the fuse. It had got a 3 amp fuse in this isolation switch, which looked a bit like, I don't know what you'd explain it as. It was an isolation switch because they plug in behind the washer and tumble dryer. Then you've got a switch halfway up the wall, which isolates the power from the switches that are under and behind the sink. And we thought the washing machine had blown itself, but when Steve came and checked it out, discovered a 3 amp fuse in the isolation switch, which has been there for 36 years and should have been a 13 amp fuse. And at times that washing machine and tumble dryer are on at the same time for hours, aren't they? And it's like just putting in. I mean, we've had in the time I've lived here. Well, in the time I've lived here, I've had 5-6 washing machines in 30 odd years.
Oh, right.
And it's never done it before. It's never blown it before. So putting in this new Samsung all singing, all dancing, computerised type washing machine.
Very energy efficient.
Very energy efficient, but it must do something that suddenly surges the power or something. Because it blew it, didn't it?
Yeah, because I was out when it got delivered, wasn't I?
Yeah.
And I came back and you were so happy and cheery. I think you were on the phone to Grandma.
Oh, this new washing machine's fabulous. It does everything except toast.
It's brilliant.
It is.
And then you got back and you were like, oh, have a look at it. And I was like,
it's not working, it's
dead. You're like, you thought it was washing.
Well, it had sounded like it was when I was in the kitchen.
It is quieter than the last one, but it's not that quiet.
Well, we've always had Bosch before, haven't we?
Yeah.
And now we've gone for this Samsung. And what is really neat about it, from my perspective as a blind person, has got a bit of braille on it. I'm not quite sure how useful that is.
No.
Because you have to still count the programs if you're blind. But one of the neatest things on it, if you're blind and you're looking for a washing machine, you can fill it with liquid detergent and you can fill it with fabric conditioner, and it will literally do 16 washes before it needs filling again. It's got an auto dose. I'm not using it because I like to do it myself, and I don't like fabric conditioner in every wash and stuff like that. But it is for somebody like me, or for a blind person who lives alone. If you had a family member coming in, say once a month, or to do some, help you out with a few things, and they could just dose your washer up once a month and you didn't have to worry about it. Because things like that, when you are sighted, when I was sighted, I never thought about, how awkward it can be to pour fabric conditioner into the drawer of a washing machine, because some of them are easy, some of them are not. And just little things like that. I mean, it's just incredible. And this washing machine, and perhaps loads of you have got Samsungs. Perhaps I'm just late to the party. But what amazes me is you can even control it from your mobile phone. It's got Wi-Fi. I'm not sure why you'd want to. Because, it's got a timer. So you can actually put it on and set what time you want it to finish. So if you were going to bed, you can set you want it to finish at 7 in the morning. Or if you were going to work, you could set you wanted it to finish at the time you came in from work. I mean, it does everything except it can't empty itself and put the stuff into the tumble dryer for you. But I'm nicely impressed with it. Very nicely impressed.
Now you're looking for things wrong with the tumble dryer.
Now I'm looking for things wrong with the tumble dryer so I can have a new tumble dryer. But I don't want Samsung tumble dryer, I want Siemens.
No,
so
not yet.
Get saving. But the funny thing about it is we bought it from a company, and they're called Appliance City, and they're a countrywide delivery company, which I didn't realise at the time because they're literally 3 miles away from us. So I ordered this washing machine, I get them to deliver it and install it the next day. And when they came, it was about 3:30 in the afternoon. And I said to the guy, "Oh, you've not had to come far then, down the road." He went, "I've come from Southend-on-Sea." And I'm like, "What? I bought the thing from 3 miles down the road." And he said, "Yeah, but the delivery before yours was in Southend-on-Sea." And I was just gobsmacked that this company, that is obviously a national company, who deliver to everywhere except Cornwall and Scotland, actually is based 3 miles down the road from us. So it was interesting, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Obviously, a company I would certainly use again. So a bit of advertising for them. If you're looking for white goods, Appliance City, have a look. Good prices, good service. And that's us. No talk about Slimming World because we're off that subject until the end of the month. But as far as life's going, we're well, aren't we, Joe?
Yeah, it's Dad's birthday tomorrow.
Oh yeah, Richard's going to turn 66 tomorrow, and he'll be a pensioner.
He always says clickety click.
66.
What does that mean?
It's bingo.
Oh.
Happy birthday, Richard, for tomorrow. And there was a lady who commented, I nearly forgot this.
Is it Janet?
Janet Donnelly commented on my video. I read it this morning. And Janet said we were born one day apart. And Janet was born on the 8th of September 1956. And I was actually born on the 7th, Janet, not the 9th. So I'm one day older than you. So thanks for that comment this morning. Thanks to everybody who's commented on yesterday's video. You're lovely. You're all so lovely. And we'll see you soon.
Wait, no, we didn't mention the moles.
Oh, go on then.
You might as well mention them, because me and Mum have moles.
We love moles.
We're I don't know what you'd say. Avid mole.
It all came out of reading The Boy, the Mole, the Fox and the Horse. We liked the mole, didn't we?
Yeah,
he was our favourite character. And then we saw a mole, like a silky, furry mole. And we bought one, didn't we?
Yeah, we bought one. And what did we call them?
Well, we called them after the ships in the books that we read. My mole was called Terror. So then we had to get another one and called it Erebus.
Yeah, so Terror's is Mum's.
And Erebus is Joe's. So if you look at the previous podcast, the June podcast, the pictures of the two moles, that's Terror and Erebus.
Yeah.
Then we decided we would adopt any moles that we saw in shop windows or anything, because nobody really goes for moles, little blind moles, do they? No, it's not a pet thing, is it?
Lovely, aren't they?
Yeah, we like them. And Joe was in town about 10 days ago.
I think it was the day that the washing machine came.
Yeah, and you'd been in town to do some stuff in town. And you were walking past Token House, and in the window was a mole. Yeah. So he texts me, "There's a mole in the window." I've just asked him, do you need anything to eat or drink? But he says he's fine. So this is how daft we are. Yeah. So I text him back, get it. If there's just one, get it. You can't have a mole on its own, because they're blind and he'll be lost. So Joe goes into Token House and he buys this mole. Well, it looks quite bit different from our other two moles, doesn't he?
A bit different, but it's all right.
And then about 3 days later, he's on Amazon, or you're on a website or something. You're on somewhere on the web.
It was the website that the mole was
Oh yeah,
from.
the mole that he picked up in the token house
company
came
called
from
Jellycat.
something. Yeah, Jellycat. So he went on the Jellycat website, didn't you, to look
Yeah.
at the mole that we'd bought to see what it was called,
And there's another one.
and it was called Nip It,
yeah,
isn't it?
Nip It.
And then he said, "Oh my God, there's another one, and it's lovely." And the new one that he saw was called Riverside Rambler Mole, and he's got a little waistcoat and a scarf, hasn't
A
he?
little green waistcoat.
Yeah. So the two moles on the picture of today's podcast are Nip It Mole and Riverside Rambler Mole, and they're from Jellycat.
Jellycat, yeah.
So if you like the look of them and you want to buy somebody a mole, look on the website for Jellycat. I think Nip It is £11 and the Riverside Rambler's £21, something like that.
And there's a lot of other nice things on there. They do rabbits and frogs and all sorts, and it's a bit like, I don't know, it's kind of like Wind in the Willows-y, isn't it? It's a
Yeah,
bit,
so if you're as daft as us and you like things like that.
yeah.
So we could end up with a house full of moles eventually.
Yeah, so, but that was just it kind of linked back to the Terror in Erebus story from
Yeah.
earlier, and then
Well, my terror mole, she calls herself
Terror
Money Mole.
Mundi. Yeah, Money Mole.
because I collect Terramundis, which are money pots, and of course her name's Terra, so Terra Monday, and she sits on top of one of my Terramundis quite regularly, doesn't she? And collects
Yeah.
50p pieces.
Yeah, she collects the money. She's like the
Steward of our money.
yeah.
This is how daft we can be. Would you believe it? We're two grown-ups. Anyway, we're going now, so stay safe, everybody, and we will talk to you again soon. Bye.